literally said it's quite a big window. It's not really 4.5 million euro, so let's get close to 5. Okay, we got okay, that's the global. How much? I know you can even work out. 2 million. Yeah, there will be. There will be. How does it compare year on year? It's 4.5.
I didn't go unscripted. Just before night, I just read a few things and I paid like 1 mark. One, yeah. Straight away they tell you, even after you pass your test.
but so I'm going to try my best to do something now. I'm from Sudan, and I've seen the film before with the Q&A and the introduction, so I'll just say a couple of words to make it sort of a bit more understandable. The film is well, the project was started in Sudan by the Film Factory group, and it was Sudan Film Factory. It was started before the war, which broke out in April 2023. It was supposedly 4 young directors having their own 4 short films. And one director, Phil Cox, who unfortunately is in Palestine now and can't be here today. And the movie, they started the movie and then the war broke out, and the film was, they thought about how to do it, and then they all went to Nairobi. Well, they all got out and met up in Nairobi, and so the second part of each movie is what they did in Nairobi, and they put it all together as the movie you will see now. One other thing to note is that it's all filmed on iPhones, and I'll say a couple of words afterwards if you're interested. Thank you. Okay, and I'm not sure if I said my name earlier. My name is Aziz Noor. I've lived most of my life in Sudan, and that's the first time I knew that there was any pigeon racing in Sudan. So every time you learn something new. None of the people who are acting in the movie were actors. They were just people off the street. The lady Khadmallah, she was here when they did a screening once, and apparently she has a university degree, I think in sociology, but she still is a tea lady because she can't find a job that would pay her living and so forth. What else was I going to say? There's one fact that always I find not really correct, was the thing about the number of coups being the most number of coups in Africa. If you saw the photo they had of the guy holding a cigarette and that coup, in Sudan there have been 4 coups, which were done by the military against civilian rule, and 4 of them unfortunately were successful. There's 2, maybe 3 proper coups that where the army tried to take over from the army and they failed. And then every day, even today, not today, but these last guys, since 2023, every 2 or 3 days they'll wake up and say, oh, there was an attempted coup, as if we really cared if the army took over, one lot of army took over from another lot of army. Most of what they said in the film, that both fighting sides are against the civilians, and there's no getting away from that. The lady Rawia Al-Haid, she was here also at the last screening when they did a Q&A, and she just got married a couple of months ago. She was talking about how she's the one who did Locane and Wilson's story, and she was explaining when they asked her how difficult it was, because they were just street kids and they lived quite a long way away from where she lived, and how difficult it was to convince them to have the confidence in her to do the filming and so on, for them to take part in the film. And when it said now, the Guardian, she's their guardian now in Kenya, and they live with her. What else can I say? Does anybody want to ask me anything that's not difficult?
I think the thing, I have been following this closely, but I think the thing I'd not really thought about is when people went on the street wanting democracy, how few of them had ever known it before. It's like it was a pipe dream at the time, but felt so desperately and fervently.
It was unbelievable because all these people, like you say, 80% of them had never known anything different. Since independence, 69 years or something now, only 9 years has been civilian. That's over like 4 years, 3 years, and 2 years. And the rest has all been military rule. So yes, they just had enough, but to be that organized and so on, it was very difficult. In 2016, they tried an uprising, and it was 2013, sorry, and that was very difficult. There was a lot of death. They'd come down on them very strongly, and so they hadn't tried again until 2019, and then people had just, I think, got rather fed up and went out to the street. The saddest part is that now we're into the 3rd year of the war, and there's the which are the UNs who do the schools.
UNESCO?
No, not UNESCO. The other ones. Anyway, the UN, they have their agencies have determined that there's
UNICEF.
UNICEF. 70% of the kids now. They started at 90, but 70% of the kids up till now, which are 70 million kids, have not gone to school for 3 years, coming into the 3rd year. So you can imagine what kind of future. They don't have any present, so talking about the future, but still, it just shows you how bad it is.
I think the other thing that's very difficult here in the UK to understand is the role of other countries who are giving money to each of the two sides. So really, it's a proxy war that has nothing to do with the Sudanese people.
That's correct. That's one thing, but a lot of it is either the money is the gold, which they're selling. I don't think anybody's giving them free handouts. I think it's for the future as well that they'll have to pay up for something, especially like the army and so forth. They probably hedge stuff to give to these foreign entities, foreign countries to give. But again, there's the same problem as when the people went out on the streets. There's a problem of you had 30 years and now almost 35 years where there were no political grassroots, there were no political parties, there was no funding. So that whole concept of people saying, well, why aren't the civilians doing something? Well, why aren't the civilians united? Has a lot of reasons why they're not. And so when everybody says, but you guys, you can't be, you can't because you don't know how to. Yes, maybe that's true, but then the army doesn't know how to, and that's been proven like all this time.
It's a very powerful movie.
You lived in Sudan.
Yeah.
How do you feel watching the film?
Bittersweet and sad, very sad, extremely sad, extremely angry, all mixed. A lot of things had gone down like everywhere else, but this is like a turning point where things have just gone beyond. I was there last time in February 22, just some 6 months before, a year and a bit before the war started, but then in October 2022, the army had the coup and they took over. But you could see all these RSF Janjaweed driving around in the Toyotas, which shouldn't be. Toyota's banned for being sold in Africa, but just have a look on TV and see how many Toyotas there are coming from elsewhere. Toyota could stop it if they wanted to, but that's by the by. So you could see that something might happen, but then you'd never think that people would go out. You'd think, they'd kill a few thousand and that would be it. But they could kill everybody. They could kill, if they saw like 100 million in front of them, or the whole country's like 40 million. If they saw the whole 40 million in front of them, they'd kill them without batting an eye. It's something that's, you know, beyond imagination, beyond imagination. Even killing one person is beyond imagination, but you could just see, you'd never think that they would be able to just go out and massacre people like they are.
Is there anything in the beginning, closer to when it happened in April 2023? I've talked to people who've said that in the previous times when things have happened, that Khartoum was always reasonably safe, that things happened in other parts of the country, but that had been, Khartoum had been left okay, and that one of the great difficulties is that most Sudanese families, their wealth is in their, their apartment buildings. They build for
Yes.
family on top, so
Yes.
they've lost everything.
Correct.
As with the devastation.
Correct. Keeping it out of Khartoum became difficult after al-Bashir got the RSF into Khartoum to protect him. And so there were these people in like the areas where we lived in, which was quite prosperous, and one of the first places that was built after when Khartoum went south of the railway line in the 50s, and there was a hotel called Dolly Hotel, and that was an RSF a base for like the last 10 years, where they had all these Toyotas with their machine guns and rocket launchers on the back of them, and so they were all walking around the streets as if it was okay. So it was very difficult to keep it out, because then they started getting more and more of them in, and the army kept saying, "Oh, they're part of us, and they're part of us." So it was difficult to see that something might not start. The only other thing was the Bashir regime. They didn't really control and get rid of them. All the people that backed the Islamists who backed Bashir,
Right.
they were still there, and they're still there now in Sudan. I mean, all the people who wanted Bashir and the other guys who are wanted at the ICC, they're still running around, and nobody's, the de facto government now won't hand them over. So it shows you it's difficult.
Yeah.